Hello friends. There's been a lot of Shadow Priest propaganda lately regarding talent trees, and everyone's saying Archon is the way to go. And I've tried it. I've tried them all ever since the season started. I played a bunch of threes, I played a bunch of shuffle, and I'm here to take a stand. Archon does more damage when you can free cast, but to free cast as Archon, you gotta first hard cast your Void form, then you gotta hard cast your Halo, then you've done nothing yet, and now you gotta start channeling, standing still and channeling 3-4 mind flays. If you get all of that done, it does happen. You have precog, and if you do that, that's pretty good. Each mind flay insanity is as good as an ice lance, so that's pretty sick. But in most situations, you don't really get. You eventually you get the mind flays off, but it's so obnoxious. You just get half of it done because you get like micro interrupted. People line of sight it, especially now. People starting to slowly understand and catch on how Shadow Priest plays. You know what? I'm gonna say it right now. I'm sorry, Shadow Priest enjoyers out there. I'm about to give everyone the secret recipe to how to defeat us and counter us. Just kick Mind Flay Insanity. Just kick Mind Flay Insanity, and that's it. SP does 0 damage if they're playing Archon. But here comes my own propaganda. Voidweaver. In my opinion, Voidweaver is better in every other scenario except when you're playing with a Warlock or maybe a Mage. And in this video, I'm going to show you kind of my spec, what I've discovered, and how I play Shadow Priest with Voidweaver. Again, one last time, I'm going to say that yes, Archon does more damage and it is better if you can play the game. However, with all the Windwalkers, DKs, Warriors, Dragons, and all these Mythic Plus micro CC, you don't really get to play the game properly. Just try it. Try a bunch of stuff. All right, so here we are. This is the spec. There it is. Take a screenshot. It's that simple. Let me move my camera out of the way, but you're not missing much on that left side. And let me take you through why exactly Voidweaver I think is better. First of all, Void Blast, treat it like it does not exist. Yes, I play Void form. I don't play Dark Ascension. I think Dark Ascension makes no sense. There is nothing Dark Ascension buffs that makes it worth it. You don't play Mind Spike Insanity because Mind Flay Insanity does more damage, even if you have like 100% Dark Ascension up. Mind Spike just doesn't do enough damage, and for some reason, I don't know, Blizzard is just allergic to letting Mind Blast do damage. How is Mind Blast an 8-second cooldown that hits for 143,000? And when you turn into, when you activate your Rift, it becomes a Void Blast, way powerful. It does 240,000 damage now. Very deadly. So I don't really think about Void Blast. I literally treat it the same as Mind Blast. If I can free cast, I will toss it out there because it generates a lot of insanity, but that's it. Okay, I don't really think about it as damage. The only way I'm doing damage with this spec is Void Torrent, Devouring Plague, and Mind Flay Insanity. Those are the only spells that deal damage. Everything else is just pad. You do lose some Mind Flay Insanity damage, and you do lose some Void Form damage from not playing Archon, but here's what you do get, all right? This is the biggest reason maybe, and I'm sure you guys have probably seen this before. This, Void Leech. Void Leech is crazy broken. It is so strong. Every time I play Void Leech, it is like 90% of my healing is Void Leech, and it heals a lot. It heals so much. It heals 3% of my total HP every 2 seconds. 3% of my total HP in PvP is 200k. I get healed 200k every 2 seconds. Just a little reminder, Cauterizing Shadows heals for 20k every 3 times a game. So this thing is like a power word shield every 5 seconds. It is disgustingly broken. It does so much healing, and what's crazy about it is that it's still not enough healing to compete with Warlock self-healing. Warlock self-healing still above this. However, that's not, Void Leech I think is broken. I think it should get nerfed. I'm trying not to be biased here, it's broken. I don't think there should be any sort of like passive abilities like this where you just don't do anything and you're just tanky. I hated when Warlocks had Soul Leech. It was just disgusting. I think they lost it now. But they gave it to us basically. It's basically Soul Leech. It does stupid healing and it just makes you way more tanky. And yeah, that's like 50% of the reason why you want to play Voidweaver is just this talent. It's just try it out, look at the healing done, it's gross. So Void Leech definitely on the nerf list. However, I will say still not enough to compete with Warlock self-healing, but I digress. Now, how do we do damage with Voidweaver? Because, you know, sure, we're tanky, but, you know, Void Blast does nothing. What does damage? Well, I figured since there's so many micro interrupts, we probably want to get to the point where we don't cast as much. So here's my little rotation. I'm gonna just, I probably should have started with this. The rotation is very, very simple. All you want to do is, I mean, ideally you get as much insanity as possible. Because lately I've been playing Insidious Ire, and just to increase my damage a tiny bit during my go. So I will get some insanity, you know, at least enough for one Devouring Plague. Ideally you want to get a little more, but usually when the gates open I just throw out my Shadow Fiend immediately. And by the way, look at this. Look how many Shadow Fiends I'm getting. 3 Shadow Fiends, 4 Shadow Fiends. 4 Shadow Fiends all slapping at the same time. They all generate insanity. I'm juiced up. I'm ready to pump. And if you're curious, the way we get that many Shadow Fiends is, again, Voidweaver. It's this talent here, Depth of Shadows. And it says, Shadow or Death has a high chance to summon a Shadow Fiend for 5 seconds when damaging targets below 20% HP. But if you play Death Speaker, then, you know, when Death Speaker procs, then it counts as if the target is below 25% HP, which is kind of nice because in this, with this build, we just want to juice out as many Devouring Plagues as possible in as short of a window as possible, which is also buffed further by our tier set, our 4 tier set. If you guys didn't know, it says Devouring Plague increases the damage done by 2% for 10 seconds and multiple applications may overlap. So in a like ideal situation, you might get maybe 5 of these, 4 or 5. So 10% extra damage. It's not the craziest thing, but you're trying to like squeeze in as much damage in the shortest window possible. So this is a little rotation. Okay, I'm not gonna be greedy and wait for full insanity. Let's say this is enough. I'm gonna reset my damage just to show you how much it is in one single go. The beautiful thing about it is you don't need Void Eruption. Void Eruption is completely irrelevant. It doesn't do anything other than just give you access to Void Bolt. So all you want to do is put your dots up, and then you want to bait a precog. That's it. There's one precog. You got the precog, then you pop Power Infusion, Unused Trinket, Devouring Plague, Void Torrent, and then you spam out Devouring Plagues for the rest of it. So, you know, we have the dots, and let's say we do some of these. Normally you're gonna have your Dark Evangelism maxed out. Okay, so we're gonna reset. Let's say we got a precog. We got a precog with the next Mind Flay, and we fake them. All right, so we do this Devouring Plague. We Void Torrent. We can cast while moving. We summon a bunch of stuff. We get a free Devouring Plague, another Devouring Plague from the Insanity from Void Torrent. Then we get probably at least one Mind Flay Insanity, enough Devouring Plague. It's hard to do it while I'm speaking, but I did 14 million damage, okay? And I theoretically, you just need to cast once. You cast one Void Torrent, and the damage you deal comes from the Void Torrent, at least 3 Devouring Plagues, that's minimum that you're getting if you start from like the lowest amount possible. So 3 Devouring Plagues, 1 full Void Torrent, and you also have Mind Flay Insanity, at least 1, which, you know, that's an extra channel. So if you can channel that, that's awesome. That's a lot of damage. If not, then it is what it is. And then your Rift will explode. And the Rift explosion, we can see right here, the Rift itself did 2 million damage. The Void Torrent did 3 million damage. The 3 Devouring Plagues I did 4 million damage. And then the explosion of the Rift did 1 million damage. So this is like all of this damage happens over the duration of the Rift, which is 8 seconds. And it kind of almost lines up nicely with your Stun Silence. So the whole idea is you CC the healer when you do this big go with a lot of instants, and that's it. You just hope for the best. One thing with this is you gotta make sure the healer is in CC, because the damage comes over like 8 seconds, which is very easily healed by any healer if they're not in CC. So CCing the healer, actually important as SP. As any other class, it doesn't really matter. You just juice up instant damage and people just spike in HP and they can die. If you play SP, nope, you gotta play old school. Gotta CC healer and send all your dam. And yeah, you have that a little window in which you can actually kill stuff. And that's it. As you can see, Void Torrent is back off cooldown already. It's very short cooldown. And the whole combo, that's all it is, you know? It's just one Devouring Plague into a Void Torrent. You get a free Devouring Plague from the Void Torrent. You get another Devouring Plague from the Insanity from the Void Torrent. And then you have at least one Mindflay Insanity and the Rift explodes. That's like assuming you're AFK. So that's minimum damage possible. I didn't do anything else. I didn't unuse Trinket. I didn't PI. I didn't do literally nothing. It's just one Void Torrent and only instance. And I did, well, I mean, it's a little bit inflated now because a bunch of tentacles sucked the guy after and a bunch of dots ticked after, but it's at least enough HP to 100-0 someone through, you know, them pressing nothing. If they press nothing, it's enough to kill someone every 30 seconds. So it's not too bad. You know, try it out. My biggest thing with this one is I love casting Void Torrent while moving. I think that's great. And I just think it's a lot easier to play. The whole cast Void form into cast Halo into start channeling Void Mindflay Insanities. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of damage, but that's like 6 casts. You gotta cast 6 times. And again, people are starting to catch on. People are starting to just kick Mindflay Insanity and you're just depressed. Whereas with this one, even if my Void Torrents gets kicked, I mean, if my Void Torrents gets kicked, it's a little sad because, you know, since Shadow Priest sucks so much, I only have 1 skull of damage. So, I mean, for the rest of the lockout, I'm just sitting there looking at them. But if the lockout is not super long, let's say it's a Wind Shear and not a counter spell, then it's not the end of the world. I just lose this number here, which is a lot. 2.2 million is a lot of damage that I'm losing, but you still get everything else. Almost. I mean, you do lose also maybe potentially 1 Devouring Plague. So one last time I'm going to show you, okay? All you got to do first, which this is the sucky part, because, you know, for some reason SP can't come out of the gates swinging like literally every other class. No, you got to ramp up. So you got to just sit here and ramp up. Usually I just throw my Shadow Fiend out immediately. And this is the sucky part. By now, I probably use Dispersion. We probably use Life Swap. We're probably on the back foot already because, you know, this class is kind of a victim class. But somehow we managed to make it all the way here. All right. So we faked the kick. Awesome. Onius Trinket, PI, Devouring Plague, Void Torrent. We're summoning a bunch of friends. And then Devouring Plague. And if I get the cast, let's say I do this and I fake. I do this and I fake. And another Devouring Plague. And the Shadow Death for good measure. It's 15 million damage, and meanwhile I'm stun silencing, fearing healers and stuff like that. It's pretty good dam, okay? Obviously, it's a lot easier hitting a target dummy. Usually people just press AMS and you just do nothing, or people just line of sight and you do nothing. It's not, you know, obviously this makes it look a lot more straightforward, but look how short the cooldown is. I can do it again. I can just straight up do it again. Bam, bam. Full dam, we send it all. You do have to get this whole Void Torrent casting. Look at that. And we get a bunch of Mindflay Insanities. And it's going to be even better, again, when we get our 4-set bonus. Don't get it twisted, Shadow Priest still sucks. But I think this is a lot better than Archon. I play both of them. I tried both of them. I prefer Voidweaver in most games. And just going over the talents real quick, just to kind of explain what's happening. So we're playing Voidweaver. A lot of these are pretty standard. You don't have to like really think about it. We're playing Dark Energy to cast Void Torrent while moving. This one's kind of useless in PvP because you're moving at 70% movement speed anyway. Oh, one more thing with Dark Energy. It says you move 20% faster while Rift is active. You can actually stack this with a Feather and with Fade, and you get so fast. You become so fast. So just a little example. Let me show you what it looks like. This is me with Feather. This is me with Feather and this thing. Look how fast I am. Look at that speed. You can just press Fade and you're just gone. You can fear feelers across the map. It's very, very, very zoomies. So that's pretty good actually. Plus you can cast while moving, which is great. Divar Magic is an absolute joke. I was kind of excited about this at first, but then I read it a little closer and I realized it says 180,000 damage when you Shadow Death a shield. you know, we'll take it. Extra damage is extra damage. Basically, everybody has shields now. Disc priests are everywhere. Just every class in general has random shields everywhere. So this is a good talent. It's just the number is pretty sad, but I mean, it's okay. Sometimes you get a bunch of Death Speaker procs and it feels really good. And Void Heart is what makes this whole kind of wombo combo feel a little bit better. It's just 10% more damage while your Rift is active, and your Rift is like, during your Rift is when you do your damage. So this is just 10% more damage on Void Torrent, on Devouring Plagues, on whatever else you press during that window. Collapsing Void will do more damage based on how many Devouring Plagues you juice out. That's why ideally, if you can, it's better to start off with full Insanity. Full Insanity bar is definitely the best. But you know, because then you get 4 or even 5 Devouring Plagues, and your explosion can do like 1.5 million damage, like almost an Ice Lance, guys. That's crazy. So yeah, Collapsing Void, it is what it is. A lot of people just jump out of it. A lot of times, like again, I'm showing these numbers on target dummy that's just sitting there. A lot of times people run out of Rift and run out of Collapsing Void, and you don't get to press any Mindflay Insanities, or you just get Storm Bolted. You can't even do Devouring Plague. It's not as easy, you know, you still get cucked a lot, but it kind of works out. You usually have teammates to help you set this up a little bit. Void Blast, like I said, don't even think about it. It does terrible damage. You have to cast it. It's a disaster. You know, press it if you're free because it gives you good Insanity, so you can juice out more Devouring Plagues, but it's just, please Blizzard, make Mind Blast great again. Just give it some power, a little bit, okay? I'm going on. I've activated. I feel like I've hit my enrage timer. Why do Warlocks get a basically Shadowy Insight proc that gives them an instant Shadow Bolt, but their Shadow Bolt hits for 1 million plus non-crit, and my Mind Blast hits for 150k? Why is that, Blizzard? Why is my Mind Blast hitting for 10% of Shadow Bolt? Anyway, moving on. Depth of Shadows. This is what spawns a bunch of Shadow Fiends. I've tried Voidweaver with Mindbender. It's alright. I don't know. They're both okay. I don't think this is a big deal one way or the other. Depth of Shadows, that's kind of nice, having your Shadow Fiend slap a little bit. It's more so for the extra Insanity because the damage of Shadow Fiend is an absolute joke. Can't believe it's a 3-minute. Can you believe it's a 3-minute cooldown that does nothing? It does so little damage, even with like 4 of them active. It does nothing. And as for the Priest Tree and the Shadow Tree, the Priest Tree is pretty standard. I feel like everyone's playing more or less the same stuff. And then for Shadow, this is what I've kind of decided on. Most games I've played with Voidweaver, I wasn't playing Insidious Ire. I was actually playing Idol of N'Zoth and Auspicious Spirits. But then the more I thought about it, it's like, this will do more damage, like more pad damage for sure. In the scoreboard, you'll do more damage with this. But I'm trying to finish off games. So now I'm just playing Insidious Ire, and I'm playing it only for the Void Torrent. I know this also buffs Void Blast. I know. Let's see how much damage Void Blast is, guys. Hold on. Let's test it out, all right? The good thing about Void Blast, though, is that you don't really need any setup for it. If you want to get Void Blast out, you just Void Torrent straight away. And now you have it. Let's see, this is the fully empowered. I fully empowered, and it hit for 500k. I mean, if you can squeeze them in, that's great. That's half an Ice Lance, you know, we'll take it. For PvP talents, I am playing Catharsis, I am playing Fiend, and I am playing Mind Trauma. Initially, I wasn't playing Catharsis, and I was playing Driven to Madness just to get more Void Forms. But I realized with this spec, you don't need Void Forms, you don't care about it. So I'll just get Catharsis and just throw an extra 600k Shadow Word Pain in the combo. Let's go over this game together. Fury Warrior, Unholy DK, Resto Druid. It's a melee Zug, it's terrible. So we start off with a little CC on the DK. And I remember this, I trinketed absolutely nothing, a little mistake. And we just send Void Eruption. This is a complete waste. I silence the Druid, I do my Void Torrent, and I go towards the Druid to try to fear him. I get gripped back, so that's not happening. Meanwhile, my warrior friend is just blasting, and I'm kind of keeping up because after the Void Torrent, all I did was I just spammed the Devouring Plagues. That there's nothing else I did. And we got a bunch of their cooldown. We got everything, basically. And we're in a really good spot now. We haven't used anything, and it's literally just because we got the momentum initially. And a lot of times you'll see that when you play SP, you're just so far behind because you just gotta wait. Everyone just comes out, presses everything, and you just gotta wait to get your insanity, get your casts out, get your halos out, and then you can start doing it. Anyway, here I use my feather, I use fade, and I use my other mobility, and look how fast I am. I'm just chasing this druid, I'm just spamming devouring plagues, and we just kill him. let me go back in time. Let me show you exactly what happened, because this happened like kind of quickly. All right, so we're over here. We just did our first go. We have our second go immediately, and I have enough insanity. I'm doing Devouring Plague. I'm doing it a little bit wrong here, but I press Fade and Feather, and I just start zooming. I silence the Druid here. Meanwhile, I'm spamming Devouring Plagues, and my Rift is juicing. And yeah, it's down on the Druid. We had the Fear, like we had a bunch of CC left over, but I guess also my Warrior did help a little bit, just blasting hard. But yeah, that's just a little example of, you know, obviously a good game. We've had a lot of bad games and things don't always go that smooth. But just procs your shadow. I just procced a little Shadow Fiend here. A little demon from Torghast. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this little video, and you know, try out Voidweaver. I'm giving away secret tech for free, so try it out. I think it's better in most cases than Archon. Archon does more damage if you get to cast. Good luck casting through all this bullshit that's happening left and right. I don't know, maybe Archon is better once you get to higher rating. I'm not sure, but yeah, that's all I got. Have a beautiful rest of the day, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace. Go. Generate insanity.